All right, we're here for a very special interview. We're joined by Nick Manning. He is the director of All-Access, one of the best Emmy-award winning shows. Is it Emmy-award winning? Emmy-award nominated. Emmy-award winning.
Yeah.
Here we go.
There you go.
And not only that, Rony, producer Rony, loves production.
Yeah.
He's the man that makes IBL go, so he is going to be here for this interview too. Nick, thanks so much for joining us, man.
Thank you guys. I've been waiting to do this.
It's cool to get feedback from like people, colleagues. Like I consider you like a colleague, someone that's doing great work in the field. So when you say, "Hey, I watch your show," I'm like, "Dude, I watch All Access."
Yeah.
So it's cool to finally see that and have you on.
Also, just the entire team across all sports, like, want to see it come into boxing and continue to grow because I see what it does, in other sports and the impact that has, and so only natural. So I want to be a part of this.
So obviously, All Access for Terence Crawford is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the biggest ones you've worked on.
Yeah.
And you're embedded with the camps. So which camp are you embedded with for Terence Crawford?
Errol Spence.
Okay, so obviously we know about him down in Texas. What was that like? What was it like being with Spence? He seems like a guy that's pretty low-key, but what is he really like when you're embedded with a guy like Errol Spence?
Well, one, it was really hot all the time. 100. As hot as it was in Dallas, it was 15 degrees hotter in Derek's gym, which we spent every day in.
Is that by design?
By design. Quite literally, no AC except in Derek's office, but Errol is honestly how he comes across, at least how I believe he comes across. He's a super authentic guy, and he's just really, really chill. Like, he's not, and his gym is very low-key. There's been a lot of gyms where there's there's a whole crew of guys that are there that you don't know what their role is, and they're there and they clap and all that, but like, Errol doesn't have those people. Errol doesn't have a guy holding his bag. He doesn't have someone that drives him places. Like, he does it all himself, and he's just an adult. Like, he's just a normal person, and it's something that you can like overlook sometimes because you're so used to filters between you and a fighter.
Yeah.
But with Errol, I just talked to him directly, and he's not a big talker, but like, he gives great answers, and I love working with the guy. It's my second time working with him, and so he's not afraid of the cameras at all. He gets it.
He's like, you don't really see that from fighters, I guess. Like, they're not adults. They kind of like, they're all adults, but they kind of need everything done for them. Errol comes across as that,
Yeah.
And especially when we did the Mount Rushmore, which just came out, he just did the whole laundry list of the same answers.
Yeah.
But once we got to like that actual fun part, he enjoyed it because like he kind of likes doing that stuff. So I mean, that's how he comes across.
Yeah, but with Spence, like, the thing I like about him is like his words mean something. Like, he doesn't overhype things. He'll give props when he speaks. Like the elder statesman of boxing right now. I think he's one of the most respected fighters. Chris Algieri has agreed with me on that. That everyone respects Errol Spence because he just has like that like statesman approach to him.
How old is he?
33.
33. He's like,
But he's been through a lot.
Yeah.
33 years, but he's been through a lot in those 33 years.
He's truly, like, he compared himself to Tim Duncan when he was talking about the Derek James team. Like, he is Tim Duncan in terms of how he fights and the fundamentals. But like, he's just he's so steady, and I have a ton of respect for him. And just think about what he's been through, and overall what he's overcome, and his attitude has always been the same. And he's just someone he just always goes forward. That's how he fights.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. How about Crawford? I know you weren't embedded with him, but I know you got to learn some things about him.
I actually worked with Crawford before on Creed 3. We did
right.
wow.
Casual, humble brag right there.
Yeah, I had to drop it. I keep forgetting. But Errol, but to be fair, Crawford does not remember me at all. So
It's fair. I don't remember anybody.
yeah, but Crawford's cool. I mean, it's a different experience for him coming over to PBC for the first time, All Access. I know that he wanted it, but it's Errol's been doing this for such a long time. He sees the same people, he sees the same faces. So I think it was more of an adjustment for Crawford, and I think he's generally a guarded person. I think he would tell you that, but he's also extremely authentic. Like, he's not someone that's gonna like put on for the cameras either. So it's not like when maybe he doesn't want a camera in front of him because he's not gonna turn into somebody else. He's just gonna be himself.
Yeah, both guys are like that.
Yeah.
I mean, now kind of getting into the production side of it, you're the director,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So like, since Errol has been through so much, does that make it easier to tell a story? Is that like, do you like clamor for that stuff to like kind of make it more of a narrative in the stuff you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I go into camp and I want to establish right away that like this is your story too.
Right.
I mean, not too. It is your story.
Yeah.
And you know, you should be a part of that. Like you should want. I want them to want to be a part of All Access. That's going to make everybody's life so much easier. And quite frankly, you know, camp life can be so arduous and just repetitive, and it's just like, you know, I can throw things out there based on what I think is going to show their personality that might be fun for them.
Right.
And it's like, this doesn't have to be like work. You know, I don't want them to see All Access crew roll up and just like,
oh yeah, like dread. You want to see pumped.
Yeah.
Take us through like an average day. Like it's, let's say it's middle of camp. You're with a champ. What does that day look like? How much pre-planning goes into it? What's the execution like of it? Take us through it.
It's honestly not a lot of planning. It's all execution. It's like,
Wow.
it's, I wish there was more structure. I mean, some guys are different. Like Caleb Plant, in the beginning, we said, we're going to do this on these days. And like, that's just how Caleb lives his life. There's a structure to it. And that was great. But, you know, Errol, it was kind of like every day, you're not really sure. Tank, another thing, you're not sure where he is.
There's some
like,
Tank stories.
Yeah.
I mean, Tank's just like, he's just hard to track down, you know what I mean? But the thing about Tank is when you get him and he can show his personality, like he's the best. Like I love working with Tank, and there's a chaotic nature to his life for sure, but I think that comes
Sells
with
too.
It makes for great stories.
But that's just like, he's just always on the move, and he's just always going to do his thing, and you know, either you follow along and you grab that content, or you know, or you don't. You're just not going to get it, and it's gratifying to get stuff like that with guys like that. And with someone like him too, people are so drawn to Tank that like, you don't really have to get something that crazy for people just to tune in. I mean, his All Access is to do 1 million views in like 6 hours.
Yeah.
So
How about Tank Ryan? I mean, that was a huge one. I love that All Access. Couldn't get a bigger fight with two bigger personalities, social media and all that. What was Ryan's camp like? Because revelations came out. A lot of cooks in the kitchen, beefing with Oscar, moles. I mean, you name it. I mean, for me as a content creator, like this is like a treasure trove. Like we're talking about moles. We got Oscar De La Hoya beefing with him. This is like the best. I mean, it's gotta. How do you feel about when there's like that type of friction in the camp?
I mean, it's not something that we really ran into or understood. I mean, the whole thing with us is like, we're not the mole, obviously. It's like,
Who's the mole?
Yeah, no one, none of us. Like, trust is a big part of what we do. But you know, they never looked at our way anyway, so it's just like, it's you know, the Ryan camps. I was with Tank, so I don't really know, to be honest with you. But yeah, the whole fight night thing was kind of bizarre. I felt for the kid, but Ryan's a good kid, and he's a really good fighter. I know he's got a bright future, and you know, that night Tank was just a better man. He was Tank's super comfortable on that stage. You know, you see Tank when he gets in the ring, he's in a playground. And that's where he's his most comfortable. He'll tell you that too. And I think it's kind of an honor to watch at this point.
When I'm watching those All Access, I mean, it's kind of like it's a movie, and I'm like a big fan of like the shooting style, the editing style, everything you guys do. And I know it's really hard to pull that off. Like, what's kind of like the most difficult part for you in the whole execution process?
The difficult part is just kind of figuring out what you're going to do every day. Like I said, it's like you wake up and you know you're going to go to the gym. And you know, from that point, you usually are kind of trying to feel out how the fighter's feeling. You throw some things out there, see if they're feeling it, and then so the hard part is just not knowing. And you just have to be ready on an instant to go do it. And that comes with having a great crew. And like, I work with generally the same guys, but anyone that works on All Access 1, we have the best crew in the world. Like, we have the best shooters, the best audio people, PAs, ACs, you name it. And I think the most important thing, though, on top of their skill level, is just the attitude. And like the story with Tank is we were in LA for the press tour. We did New York, came to LA, and he decided to stay. And we did an interview with him that day, and we it was like, called him and we went bowling, and it was like 12 o'clock, it was midnight. We went home, we were packed up all of our stuff, we're headed to bed, we're exhausted, and then we get a call as the Tank's going to the gym.
Oh wow.
At midnight?
Yeah.
It's a flood move.
Exactly, yeah. And you know, I got the call and I was just like, I turned to my crew and I was just like, what do you guys think? And they were just like, let's do it. It wasn't even a question, it was just like, everyone's about this life.
Yeah.
And that makes a huge difference in terms of just, you know, when you're at the gym at 5 in the morning, so it was daylight savings. We went all the way to 5 a.m. But like I loved every second of it, and so did they.
Yeah.
Right, you might be tired at the moment, but now as you're sitting back and looking like, dude, I got to do
Awesome.
a late night training session with Gervonta Davis, one of the best fighters in the world.
For sure, and that's, I think, just remembering like that you have a cool job and that like this isn't normal is like.
I do the same thing, pinch myself. I think you do as well, working with John Boy and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, everything that we do is like, right now, it's like, oh, we just had to do all this content this entire weekend. We just finished a pod. We just did a grid. We just did we threw shirts to fans. I mean, it's a grind, but I mean, afterwards, it's nothing more rewarding than seeing all the interactions and stuff like that.
I mean, a boxing event is really such an adrenaline-fueled thing.
Oh my God.
And obviously, with All Access too, we start 2 months out, and you're building, and you're building, and you're building.
Yeah.
And then it happens all at once, and it's so intense, and then it's over.
Dude, literally just saying that.
This is my first fight, and
it's his first fight. He's like so into it.
You're gonna have a come down.
Yeah, it's
you're gonna be like, you're gonna be depressed. You're gonna be like, I don't know what to do.
Dude, it really is.
Yeah.
Like after Tank Ryan, I was walking around my neighborhood, just
go
lost.
home.
Like Anchorman. I was
Now
like,
what?
Oh, just kind of like struggling to like cope with it. That'll be the same thing for
We
this.
stay behind and try to get something next day, and
That's why I love the
always
epilogues.
work out, but
The
like,
epilogues are so
yeah.
cool because a lot of times in boxing, this is something I can't stand about promotions, is the once the fight's over, it's done. Everyone closes up shop. But afterwards is the most intriguing stuff.
Yeah.
Like after like the fallout and what do they do the next day and what happened on fight night. And they should do media the follow. I know they don't want to do media before. Like they've done so much of it, but I want to hear from the fighter the day after. I want to hear from him a couple days after.
Yeah.
Something I think MMA does a good job. Boxing's starting to get into that, but the epilogues are so cool too.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to give props to Steven Espinoza, and, obviously Al Heyman and Dave Dinkins, my bosses, because the epilogue doesn't need to happen. It doesn't promote anything. It's just it's a true story. And so for them to continue to want to put epilogues out where they don't need to in a time where budgets can be tight and all that, like the commitment to the storytelling is still huge. I mean, epilogues are where we win our Emmys, so it's not like totally like without reason.
That's the most intriguing thing.
It's the most intriguing.
Watching Tank look over and be like, he ain't got nothing to Floyd. Or Ryan Garcia afterwards saying, Joe Goosen said, did he get you in that rib? Yeah. Like that's it kind of cements a lot of the storylines that you heard all week long. And it's like, oh yeah, Ryan Garcia did have an injury, or Tank knew he had this fight in the bag.
Yeah.
That's why the epilogue is so cool.
I love looking back at them too, and it's just you get to re-experience it all over again. And because when you watch like the episodes that lead up to it, when you know the results, it's not quite the same. But the epilogues they're very special. And the fact that you can kind of relive it in a movie format, like you're saying, is like, I love it. It's the best part. I mean, to be able to do this is just so cool.
We're living a dream. I don't know. I'm not going to speak for you, but I'm going to say that I'm very grateful to be a part of the boxing world. It's a circus at times. Ronnie's now starting to understand it. We're watching guys get street fights outside of the MGM. Like you never know what you're going to get, but it's a circus. But everyone means well. What's some big plans for All Access? I know a lot of it is just simply following the fights, and that's what it's all about. But some bigger plans down the pipeline?
In terms of just overall for the show? I mean, it's really just the show since the Floyd days. It's built up and it's become a machine, and we have all the right people in place, and everyone's firing on all cylinders. And so at this point, it's just, we don't have to make big changes. It's just about continuing to stay true to what All Access does, be authentic, and try to bring out the personality of the fighters that we're with, and just to continue to do that and build up a reputation that when we walk in at camp, fighters want to do. They want to partake in it, and win some more Emmys.
Nick Manning, he is the director of All Access, producer at Showtime Sports. This is a really cool chat. I think it brings back the curtain a little bit of what goes on in All Access. An All Access of an All Access right here.
That's right.
How about that? And Ronnie
Very
making
meta,
his
very
debut
meta.
on screen.
Just trying to be a sponge.
Two production guys
Trying
right
to be
here.
a sponge.
Love it. Thanks, guys.